Hi there, legal writers. Welcome to this Legal Grammar Redux video series with me, Jill Barton, from the University of Miami School of Law. In this video series, I am covering 12 grammar topics, which are also covered in more detail in chapters 19 through 21, the handbook for the new legal writer. These include 8 grammar basics and 4 more advanced grammar principles. So in this video, we're covering grammar basic number 4. So let's talk about colons. We'll discuss 3 rules in relation to colons. The first is a traditional rule that most legal writers tend to follow, and that is what precedes the colon is a complete clause, meaning it has a main subject and a main verb. And we have an example from Justice Sotomayor showing that right here. She starts out by writing, Northwestern University offers 2 retirement plans to eligible employees. That could be followed by a period, but she ends it with a colon to then describe 2 examples of those retirement plans. You'll see this construction pretty commonly in legal writing, and this is where the legal writer is trying to create a complete clause with a phrase like here, as we see with Justice Kagan adding is as follows. You might see is the following, or are as follows. And Justice Kagan writes, so the only way to understand the majority's opinion is as follows. With that addition there, highlighted in pink, she makes a complete clause. The second colon rule is that we can combine what would otherwise be 2 sentences with a colon. The tricky part here is just that the second part of this sentence, what's set off by the comma, should be illustrating, describing, being set off by what comes before it. So here we have each participant chooses how to invest her funds subject to an important limitation. Limitation could be followed by a period, but here it's followed by a colon and information that describes that important limitation. Now, what follows the colon could or could not be a complete clause. We saw in that very first Justice Sotomayor example, she begins with a complete clause and then she offers 2 examples, just 2 phrases, giving examples of those retirement plans. Here we have examples where the justices are not quite following the rule, that traditional rule where you have to begin a sentence with a colon with a complete clause. But what follows that colon is a complete clause. These are both from Justice Kagan. She writes, as the state summarized, that is not a complete clause, but she wants to set it off. She's creating a pause, a hard stop in her writing. And then she says, he's not psychotic. He's not delusional. She's setting up a quotation, which is a pretty common thing to do when you're using colons. Here is an example from Justice Ginsburg where what precedes and what follows the colon both are not complete clauses. She writes, the only salient difference here, the fortuity that the bullet happened to strike Hernandez on the Mexican side of the embankment. So here you can see that she's really creating some emphasis on either sides of the colon, but what precedes the colon and what follows the colon, neither one of those clauses are complete clauses with main subjects and main verbs. So while the traditional rule is that the first part of a sentence before a colon should be a main clause, the justices sometimes break this rule. But as with all grammar rules, we should break them only rarely. And here I'm just trying to show you some examples of how this is an older rule. We have more conversational, more casual type of writing nowadays. And so you might see the justices break this rule on occasion. I just want to end by saying that anyone can be a great legal writer. You're taking the right steps just by watching this video, and I hope to see you next time.